The kitchen was quiet, save for the soft hum of the old refrigerator. The light above the small table was a warm pool in the evening dim, illuminating 2 plates. On one, a simple sandwich and a small handful of carrot sticks. On the other, just the carrot sticks. "Mama, your sandwich," Leo said, his 12-year-old brow furrowed. His mother, Clara, smiled, a gesture that softened the weariness around her eyes but didn't erase it. She was still in her supermarket uniform, the blue fabric seeming to drain the color from her. "Oh, I had a big lunch at work," she said, her voice breezy. She picked up a carrot stick. "I'm just craving these. You eat yours, mi vida. Growing boys need fuel." She pushed her plate, the one with the single sandwich, closer to him. Leo looked at the sandwich, then at his mother's hands. They were always moving, folding laundry, typing on the old laptop for late-night billing, gently fixing his collar. But now they were still, resting lightly on the chipped formica table. He took his half, but the bread tasted like a question he couldn't quite form. This had become their new rhythm. Clara's hours had been cut, and the shadow of bills had grown long and persistent in their small apartment. Leo saw the envelopes with bold red type, the way his mother's shoulders tensed when she opened her laptop. Yet every evening she performed the same miracle, a table set with food, a smile that promised everything was under control. Her sacrifices were quiet, hidden in packed lunches that were mysteriously not hungry for, in canceled subscriptions, in the way she'd hum an old song while mending the same pair of his jeans for the 3rd time. One Tuesday night, the curtain slipped. Leo woke up thirsty, padding out to the kitchen for a glass of water. The apartment was dark, lit only by the faint glow of the street lamp outside. He saw her silhouette sitting at the table, her back to him. She wasn't moving. Then he heard it, a soft, muffled sound, a single choked sob quickly swallowed by the silence. His eyes adjusted. On the table in front of her was an empty plate, save for a few crumbs. Next to it, her open wallet, its emptiness a stark void in the dim light. She was just sitting there, her head bowed, her shoulders trembling once, twice, before she took a deep, shaky breath and straightened up, as if physically pulling the weight of the world back onto her own shoulders. Leo stood frozen in the hallway, the cold from the linoleum seeping into his feet. The lie, "I'm not hungry," shattered into 1,000 painful pieces. It wasn't about appetite. It was a language of love, spelled out in hunger. His heart hammered, not with anger, but with a devastating wave of understanding. He crept back to bed, but sleep didn't come. He stared at the ceiling, a plan, fragile but determined, taking root in his young mind. The next day was Saturday. Leo told his mother he was going to the library to study with a friend. Instead, he went to Mr. Henderson's garage. Mr. Henderson, their elderly neighbor, was always tinkering with his ancient lawnmower. "Mr. H?" Leo asked, his voice smaller than he intended. "You said your back hurts for bending? I could mow your lawn for like $10? Mr. Henderson peered over his spectacles, seeing not just a boy, but the quiet urgency in his eyes. "Well now, that's a timely offer. Been dreading it, to tell the truth." An hour later, Leo was pushing the rattling mower under the hot sun. The work was harder than he'd imagined, the vibrations jolting his arms. He thought of his mother's hands. He finished, sweat-drenched and proud. Mr. Henderson handed him a crisp $10 bill and a cold lemonade. "You're a good man, Leo." Leo didn't stop. He asked Mrs. Garcia in 4B if she needed her groceries carried up. He helped clean out Mr. Kim's cluttered tool shed. By sundown, his pocket held $35. It felt like a fortune. He went to the grocery store, walking the aisles with intense focus. He bought bread, eggs, cheese, his mother's favorite apples, and a single small chocolate bar, the kind she used to buy for herself as a treat a lifetime ago.
He arrived home just before dinner, his heart pounding. Clara was at the stove, stirring a pot of thin soup. "Just in time, cariño," she said, her smile automatic. "Mama, sit down, please." Leo's voice was firm, surprising them both. Puzzled, she sat. Leo brought out his grocery bag and began to unload the items onto the table. Her eyes widened. "Leo, what is this? Where did you get this?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he went to the cupboard, took out 2 plates, and began to make sandwiches. Not halves, 2 whole, thick sandwiches, stuffed with cheese. He put 1 on each plate, adding a handful of apple slices to both. He set 1 plate in front of her and 1 at his own seat. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out the remaining crumpled bills and coins, and placed them gently beside her. The silence in the kitchen was profound. Clara looked from the food to the money to her son's face, smudged with dirt, earnest and so much older than it had been that morning. "I saw you, Mama," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Last night, I know you're always hungry." A single tear escaped, tracing a path down Clara's cheek. The carefully constructed wall of pretense crumbled, not with a crash, but with a soft, relieved sigh. She wasn't alone in her burden anymore. "You worked for this?" she asked, her worn hand covering his smaller, dirt-stained one. She didn't say, "You shouldn't have." She saw the dignity in his act, the love that had met her own in the middle. "Thank you," she breathed, the words carrying the weight of every skipped meal, every hidden worry. They ate their sandwiches together, a real meal shared in real honesty. The apartment felt different. The worry wasn't gone, but it was now a weight carried by 2, making it infinitely lighter. The story doesn't end with a lottery win or a sudden inheritance. It ends the following Saturday morning when the doorbell rang. It was Mr. Henderson with a casserole dish. "Thought you might like a break from cooking, Clara," he grumbled kindly. Behind him was Mrs. Garcia with a bag of fresh vegetables from her brother's farm, and Mr. Kim with an offer for some part-time data entry he needed help with, work Clara could do from home. Word, it seemed, had traveled in the quiet, observant way of a caring community. They hadn't known the full story, but they had seen a weary mother and a son suddenly stepping up, and they decided, quietly and without fanfare, to step up too. Clara stood in the doorway, her eyes brimming, accepting not just the gifts, but the unspoken message, "We see you. You are not alone." That evening, the table was full, not just with food, but with a new, palpable sense of grace. Leo looked at his mother, truly eating, truly smiling, and he understood something deeper. Her "I'm not hungry" was the purest kind of love, and his "I see you" was his answer. Their silent conversation spoke volumes, and it had, in its own gentle way, whispered to the hearts around them, stirring a kindness that multiplied. Sometimes the most profound miracles aren't grand or loud. They are found in a shared sandwich, in the quiet courage of a child who chooses to see, and in the gentle chorus of a neighborhood that answers a call it never quite heard, but somehow felt deep in its bones. For love, when truly given, has a way of becoming a language everyone can understand. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change someone's world. Share this story if it touched your heart.